Well, hello and welcome to CEL-SCI's official channel. Today, we have a major update that marks a significant milestone in the company's journey. CEL-SCI has announced that it's set to initiate the Multikine Confirmatory Phase 3 cancer trial following regulatory approvals. This is a pivotal moment for both the company and the broader oncology community. The new trial will look to confirm the impressive survival benefits observed in CEL-SCI's previous Phase 3 study, which demonstrated a 46.5-month increase in overall survival for advanced head and neck cancer patients. Now, with this trial moving forward, what does this mean for patients, investors, and the future of Multikine? To break down the details of this announcement and what it signals for CEL-SCI's path to commercialization, we are joined today by Mr. Geert Kersten. Let's dive in. Hello, Mr. Kersten. Now, CEL-SCI has just announced the initiation of the Multikine Confirmatory Phase 3 cancer trial. Tell us about the significance of this moment and why this trial is so important for Multikine's path to regulatory approval.
Let's talk about what it actually means for cancer patients, right? Because the rest is just regulatory stuff. And by the way, this is the last, it's a small study, it's the last step for an approval. And we've had great meetings with regulators. Our idea is to make the first cancer treatment more successful, right? We all know people who've had cancer. Some made it and some didn't. Some people were diagnosed so late that they died quickly, there's nothing you could do. But leaving those people aside, how do you help those people where the cancer comes back? You know, they get their surgery, radiation, and chemo, or some of those, and then the doctor says, I think we got it all. Well, that I think is the problem, because we all know people where it then came back. So when it comes back, how many of these people actually make it? Right? We all have parents, brother, sister, friends. They didn't make it. So how do you change it? How could we have saved these people? We're already using everything we have at our disposal. We're using cutting it out. Then we're irradiating anything that's left. And then we're using chemo if anything is left. Problem is, cancer cells are really tough. And what kills you is the stuff that you cannot see. So you think you're done, but there's something left and it grows back. It's the Navy SEALs of cancer cells. And they kill you. So we said, okay, we don't like these treatments, but we have to add something. So it's like you have a car, you like your car, you want it to be faster. What do? You put a turbo in, right? That's what we are doing. But our turbo is activating your immune system before surgery, radiation, and chemo have destroyed it. So you're alive right now, right? You look healthy, you act healthy. There are 3 billion immune cells running around your body looking to do their work to protect you. Then how is it possible that people get cancer in the first place, right? Because they're supposed to kill the cancer. It's because they cannot see the cancer. The cancer is a terrorist. It hides. Go to New York City, if there's a terrorist, do you need to hire another 100,000 policemen? Or do you need to give them the intel? What does the bad guy look like? And where can you find the guy, right? I think there are plenty of police in New York City to take out some bad guy once you know what the bad guy looks like. Mm-hmm. That's what we do. So for 3 weeks, it's really short time periods, but you're not allowed to delay surgery. After diagnosis, before surgery, radiation, chemo, we give you our immunotherapy, which, by the way, is not toxic. It helps your body, those 3 billion immune cells, realize tumor in the tongue, and they come flooding in. And in 3 weeks, we have some patients where the tumor is completely eliminated. And we're not talking tiny tumors, we're talking stage 3 and 4. So that is what we want to do.
This is all happening before any kind of initial treatment is even being given to the patient, right?
It's a completely new concept. Because you see, the normal idea is you take a dying cancer patient and I want to give them another 2 months so they make it to the next Christmas. Mm-hmm. It's a nice idea. It's good. It's important. And everybody hopes that they're the patient that will get 4 months of extra life, right? But they may be the one that gets 0 extra life. isn't it better that we give you a greater chance of, call it, being cured up front?
I
Now,
would say.
take that concept from head and neck cancers here to here, right? We picked it because it's such a nasty disease. It's like the weed in your backyard that you never get rid of. I have this stuff that grows in my yard and I pull it out, whatever, next year it comes back and gets worse. It drives me crazy. Well, that's what head and neck cancer is like. Now take that concept, because it's not specific to head and neck cancer, applied to breast cancer. Wouldn't people like that? In 3 weeks, your tumor may be gone. Melanoma, the most responsive, that's skin cancer, most responsive cancer to immunotherapy in the world. Cervical, we already showed that it works there. It kills human papillomavirus. As a woman, you know that HPV, women can clear it, but HIV-infected women cannot. This is a concept. It's an idea that's developed on one cancer, and then it's going to spread. And by the way, you don't have to think about money here. If you're helping that many people, it will become standard of care in all of these different cancers someday.
The previous phase 3 trial demonstrated a remarkable survival benefit of nearly 4 years for certain
Yeah,
people.
huge.
What is the main objective? And it's probably, I mean, it's obvious, but what is the main objective of the new study, and how does it build on the previous trial's findings?
So this gets really frustrating because people look at our data, they say, this is so unbelievably good and it's so needed that you should be on the market already. You can save patients. And I fought that battle with the regulators and I lost. Because as I learned, they want it packaged in a certain way. And if you cannot deliver it packaged in a certain way, for procedural reasons, as someone says, they make you do another study. So that happened to us. So there's also something that happened. What's interesting here is the biotechnology sector has been pretty much underperforming or very badly performing for 4 years, which has never happened before. Some people say it's high interest rates. I don't think so. We've had biotech bull markets and high interest rates. What it is that the last administration made things much stricter. So, for example, in our case, during the Biden administration, they made the regulations stricter such that for a confirmatory study like we have to do, you can no longer get the approval and then do the confirmatory study. You now have to enroll it at the patients. Well, if you were a regulator, you might say, it's not a big deal, right? Well, if you're an investor, it's a big deal because it's more money, more time. So where did they go? AI, right? Tech. So that's what happened here. But again, it's phenomenal data. It's 4 years of extra life. It's a safe and non-toxic cancer drug. The 4 years, actually, they take you over 5 years. We have, that's considered 5 years is when most doctors think you're cured, right? So I don't want to use the word cure, but I want to put the 5 years in with that, as a thought. We have a 5-year survival with our drug of 73% versus 45%. This is the first time in 70 years that there has been a overall survival benefit. That's my frustration, right? Why? How is it possible that with such good data, they don't give you an approval? But I lost that battle. I have to do the study.
I have a few theories on why that may be, but I'm sure you do too. But diving kind of more into that, the procedure, the approval process, regulatory agencies have given the green light for the study to move forward.
Yes, they have. They actually said they want to support it. They like it.
Yes. What does this approval process look like, and how does CEL-SCI work with regulators to get to this point?
Well, lots of meetings, first of all. All right. So it's like everything else. You have to establish trust and a rapport. So when you meet someone the first time, you're not going to trust them completely. It takes time. That's multiple meetings. So that's very, very important, because anyone new who walks into FDA, I don't think they trust them. That's my feeling anyway. So we have established that. So we've had multiple meetings with them. That's how you do it. Then you work out what they want to see. right? There's a certain things, rules that they follow, and the study has to meet all of those rules. That's the study. It's only 212 patients. Which then, by the way, raises the next question. Okay, if you have to redo it, is there a risk that you might not be successful? It's a reasonable question because the biggest risk in biotech is that your drug doesn't work. So let's look at it. We have 73% survival at 5 years. We don't have to wait that long versus 45. That's massive. You only need about a third of that to become an approvable drug. So there's a big fat cushion in there. When you give our drug in 3 weeks, some people have a complete elimination of tumor. So unfortunately, in the study, their tongues had to be removed because that's what you do. So we know that it was really gone. Remember how we talked initially? It looks like it's gone, but you don't know if it's gone. Well, when you take the tongue out, by the way, that's 15, 16-hour operation. It's horrible. And so then you slice it up and you see no cancer cells left, right? Others have a shrinkage of tumor over 30%. We know that if you have that, your survival is much, much better, well over 70% versus below 50%. So we have a predictor of coming, So then there's the different things. Statistics are fantastic. It's 0.0015. Anything under 0.0 is good. The hazard ratio is 0.35. And anything under 0.7 is approvable. And you just go on and on. So basically, we can say, because that's what statisticians and physicians have told us, we have a 95% chance or greater of being successful in the study. Think about that. You create a new standard of care. In the future, our drug will be given before the other treatments.
When it comes to these patients, one key aspect of the trial is that it will only enroll patients who are most likely to benefit from Multikine.
Yes.
How was this patient group identified, and why does this approach increase the likelihood of success?
Well, we did a 928 patient study in 24 countries on 3 continents, which is the largest clinical trial ever conducted in head and neck cancer, which, by the way, is one of the biggest cancers in the world, right? So we have this massive database, including multi-year survival benefit. So you can go through that database. In fact, you're permitted and encouraged by FDA to go through it to pick out the very best. So I call them our Super Bowl team, right? Literally, if you go into Super Bowl, the only consideration is to win. You may have great players who are going to be fantastic next year, but if they're not the best today, you're not going to play them. So for us, we know exactly that our drug works perfectly, super well in these people to my left. It still helps the people in the middle, and it doesn't work the people on the right. So we focus the study on those people on the left. We don't even consider the people in the middle because we only want the best. We have to win. And by the way, what's interesting for investors is when you win, you become a multi-billion-dollar company. Always works out because most cancer drugs don't actually help you live.
So many oncology trials take years to complete, as you've talked about. But CEL-SCI has projected a significantly shorter timeline for this study. What factors contribute to this accelerated timeline, and when can we expect key milestones, including initial or final results?
Okay, all of this, by the way, is so biotechnology is speeding up, and the more money you get, the more support you get from people on the outside, the faster you can go. We're about to start the study, and we're setting it up right now. The first center is in Atlanta, it's Emory. So the goal is that we can enroll these patients by, call it Q2 next year. Once you have enrolled the patients pursuant to these stricter regulations during the last presidency, you are allowed to see the data that happens during the 3 weeks of Multikine treatment. You're not allowed to see the deaths. We know that when you give Multikine, tumors disappear. 3 weeks. You know that tumors shrink. in 3 weeks. You have something else called downstaging. The doctor says that you got better in the 3 weeks. And we know from the past study, you see, what's so attractive is here we have this huge data set of a study done before. We're picking out the best parts. So that's why we know it works. And so we know that when you have a tumor response or shrinkage or going away, it makes your survival much, much better. That is a predictor. And it's a horrible disease, right? When no one has succeeded in decades. So the whole idea of an accelerated approval is that they let you come to market and sell on normal selling while you then wait for the survival outcome. Then you have to wait for 65 people to die. But they feel it is not right to withhold a drug that could help people. So it's like a shortcut, a legal shortcut, while you're waiting for the rest to pan out.
Of interest to investors, since we want to get to them ultimately, beyond the scientific impact, this trial has major implications for CEL-SCI's financial and commercial strategy. How does this move the company closer to securing market approval and ultimately commercializing Multikine?
So there's a difference between different. So in most cancer studies, the endpoint is called event-free survival. And that's not really survival. It just means you die at the same time, but you progressed later. But you still die at the same time. The few drugs that have overall survival, and we have it in 4 years, which is massive, right, are always worth a fortune. And they get bought out by big pharma. On our website, we have a slide presentation that shows the deals. Every year, there are 1 or 2, 10, 15, 20 billion dollars. So what is so amazing here is we have the data that tells us that we could be that 10, 15, 20 billion dollars, even make it 5 billion, it doesn't matter the current valuation, company at a 95% with a tiny 5% risk. Right? It's like buying a lottery ticket, but you have phenomenally good chances of winning. Everybody would buy that lottery ticket, right? I would buy a lot of them. You would too.
I would.
Exactly, because it's a life-changing event. In this case, what has been happening in the last 4 years is that investors have avoided biotechnology because they've been so in love with AI. Well, maybe that's changing, right? NVIDIA had great numbers, but obviously not good enough because now it's selling off. Again, that may change rapidly, but it was fantastic and now it's just good. That is a change. And I'm being told, in fact, that people are taking money out of tech and they're planning to allocate it to biotech. And now that's the interesting part because we're beaten up. Tech stocks have gone up, we're beaten up. And so what I'm hoping for is that, and it's happened many times before. I mean, we were down at 82 cents 6 years ago. We hit $41 3.5 years later. Okay, that's a life-changing event also for investors. What I'm hoping for that the same thing will happen again. People come into the sector. We all need money. There's no hiding that, okay? And by the way, last time when the stock went from 82 cents to $41, we raised money along the way. It was not a negative at all. In fact, investors liked it when you have more money. And so that's what we're hoping. We get this study done. And in the end, you should sell it to a big pharmaceutical company for a lot of money, not to stuff my pockets. You do it because this drug must be developed for breast cancer, for melanoma, for cervical cancer, and many others. And they are really, really good at that. They're not good at inventing, though, but great at selling and, doing all of this development work.
Yeah, I think we've seen that with some of the vaccines that have come out that maybe their skills at inventing aren't necessarily the greatest. For those inventors or investors, I'm sorry, who are following closely CEL-SCI's progress, the announcement is a big development. What should they be watching for in the coming months as the trial begins and the data starts to emerge?
Well, we're going to be adding, it's really that study, right? So today we're beaten up by a biotech company at It's pretty much the lowest price ever. I've raised $530 million, okay? We have a manufacturing facility in which we've invested well over $200 million. And as part of the sector, and we're not the only one, we're trading right now at a $30 million market cap, okay? That's both a problem, but it's also the opportunity. Because once we have these patients enrolled, there will be the question, can you get an immediate approval or not? Since an immediate approval at that point should make us a multi-billion-dollar company, we're not going to be sitting at $30 million anymore. People will play that. And so that's why this ramp up in the study is what's going to attract investors. That's how Wall Street works. They always want to trade around events. And however, they're not going to wait till the last minute, because if they think that you're going to buy, they want to buy before you do. So then you find out they're buying, then you want to buy before them. It's such a crazy world. But, you can use it to your advantage too.
My last question, this whole approach to cancer, fighting it historically has been really a real cut and paste type of, it's been, chemotherapy, radiation, surgery. I mean, there hasn't been a lot of alternative mainstream ideas out there, or that pick up steam. It seems like there's a real resistance to maybe doing something different. And as you mentioned many times, the approaches of the chemotherapy, the radiation, the surgery don't necessarily do anything. They don't really, most of the time, kill it completely. They either just prolong it, or they give you a secondary cancer 10 years down the road. And it's definitely not a cure-all. Have you faced a lot of reluctance or resistance from people to bring a new approach to the idea of fighting cancer? Has that been something that's been a hard sell to people because everyone is so used to the status quo?
Hard sell doesn't even begin to describe what it's like to create something new that people haven't seen before. It scares people. They want to be followers. Right? If you've done something and I make a copy of it, right, that's the most attractive to them, because they figure there's little risk. Big guys don't have innovation anymore. If you look at the big drugs, they all came from somewhere else. They were developed by smaller companies, and then big guys, did the studies for them. And then they charge a fortune. By the way, the big guys aren't so sure of things anymore either, though, because I know someone who's at a think tank. He says they're concerned. Elon Musk doesn't like patents. They're concerned that they're going to lose patents. We're seeing all kinds of interesting things happening in the government these days, right? They're concerned about not being able to charge the ridiculous prices anymore. Well, by the way, with all of this, we fit perfectly into it. First of all, our drug is protected through its manufacturing process. It's like a Coca-Cola formula, which is why we have our own facility. Good luck trying to make a copy. So you don't have to worry about patents. And the second thing is, we're cost effective. Not only are we going to save people's lives, but if we help you such that the tumor doesn't come back, first of all, you keep people alive, which is obviously the first thing, but you avoid the cost of a dying cancer patient, which is atrocious. The $50 aspirins and all that stuff. That's how we have to think. You change the system. At best is if the people never get cancer. Well, good luck. Okay. I shouldn't be smoking, shouldn't be drinking, all of these different things, the causes of head and neck cancer. Yeah, right. So people are going to stop. So then the second best is what we're doing, giving the best chance of being cured. And the power rests in you and me, in our own bodies. And when your kids make you sick, well, your own body fights it, right?
Yeah. Most of the time.
Yeah, well, you're still alive.
That's true. There you go. There you go.
You may not feel good, but yes.
Yeah, that's right. Well, this marks an exciting new phase for CEL-SCI in the future of cancer immunotherapy. With the phase 3 trial now officially moving forward, the potential for Multikine to transform cancer treatment is becoming even more tangible. Mr. Kersten, thank you for joining us today to break down this important milestone. Now,
Thank
as the
you.
trial progresses, we look forward to bringing our audience more updates on key developments and what this means for both patients and investors. To our viewers, be sure to subscribe and stay informed as we follow CEL-SCI's journey toward bringing Multikine to market. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Well, let me add one more thing here.
Oh, yes.
We need everybody's support.
Mm.
Like I said, when you do something new, it's always harder. We have survived over the years from the support of literally thousands of people, many of whom told me afterwards that they invested because their mother, father, someone died, right? And there must be a better way. And our data shows that we have that way. So guys, have a look at our website, please. CEL-SCI, CEL-SCI.com. Our stock symbol is CVM. Tell your friends, please. Just tell people. It makes a huge difference. Thank you so much.
You can change the way of thinking. Change the way people think about.
Well, it's a community, right? What's a revolution?
Yeah.
Revolution is a lot of us little people coming together, right? We are all the little people. You may be super successful and well-to-do, etc. You're still a little person in comparison to the big corporations, etc. Yeah. Us little people coming together can create change. We've seen it before. Thank you so much.
Thank you.